You might have heard about this. President Trump looking for a new chief of staff after announcing General John Kelly will step down by the end of the year. In a late-night tweet, the president says he's interviewing potential replacements after rumored frontrunner Nick Ayers confirmed it will not be him. Who else is on the short list? Here to discuss is GOP strategist and former Deputy Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at the Department of Homeland Security, Lauren Claffey. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's begin with Nick Ayers' tweet that he sent out. He actually thanked the president. He said, "Thank you at Real Donald Trump, at VP, and my great colleagues for the honor to serve our nation. At the White House, I will be departing at the end of the year, but we'll work with the MAGA team to advance the cause, #Georgia," because he said, of course, his reason for bypassing the job is to go back home to Georgia, spend some time with his young family there instead. Some of the list that's going around. Let's begin with Congressman Mark Meadows, according to Axios. What do you think about him, his name on the list, pluses and minuses? Give us your take.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to remember here that, one, John Kelly has done a fabulous job in this role, and it's very common for chief of staffs to be cycled through in administrations. President Obama had 5 during his 8 years, and they usually just signal a shift in priorities for the administration. They can focus on different priorities that they need at that moment. So when we're discussing each of these candidates, it's really just it's to see how well they're going to jive with the president and how well they're going to work with him first and foremost. But most importantly, they have a real battle coming up with the Democratic House coming in and the investigations that they know are going to be taking place. So they do need someone a little bit more political in that role and someone who has a little bit more familiarity with how Congress is going to be approaching the next 2 years.
So Mark Meadows, Republican congressman from North Carolina, is currently the chairman of the Conservative Freedom House Caucus.
Yes. So he makes a lot of sense, right? He's currently in the House. He obviously has that background. And he is head of the Freedom Caucus, which obviously aligns very well with what the president believes in and what he hopes to achieve, during his presidency. So he doesn't have as much management experience. So that's going to be a challenge for him coming in and having to, push through and work with the White House staff to make sure that the legislative agenda of the president still maintains, but he is a fabulous choice in the regard that he does have a huge familiarity with what Congress is going to be doing and obviously intimately knows those members.
What about some of the challenges coming up? What would be the benefit of Steve Mnuchin, who's currently obviously the Treasury Secretary?
So he has already established a record of success, right? He pushed through tax reform and worked with the White House very closely on that. And also the performance of the economy can be attributed to him. He works very well with the Fed and keeping everything on track. And so that has been a huge plus for this administration is the performance of the economy. President Trump is very proud of that. And most importantly, he's managed a large agency. He has the respect of White House staff and the president. And that's going to be really important for this next role is someone who understands how the president works and can speak very honestly and truthfully to him about what is going on a daily basis and help him make tough decisions and stay focused.
Yeah, we know one of the huge battles coming up is going to be that of the budget. Mick Mulvaney, current budget director, possibly taking over this role.
Yeah, he's kind of a combination of the two, right? I mean, he has a previous track record with this administration of doing well and performing. He, took over the multiple roles within the White House and really has been a pinch hitter for them in regards to budget issues and pushing forward a reorganization of the White House, of the executive branch, consolidating agencies, those types of things, looking for efficiencies. So he has the respect and he also has the success in the administration, but he's also a former congressman. Yeah. Right? He came from that.
Yeah. And then finally, Robert Lighthizer, U.S. Trade Representative.
So I think that he does a great job in regards to he's pushing through very difficult and politically fraught trade agreements, and he's having some success in it. And I think that has endeared him to the White House and to the president in particular, that he's really stood the course and has proven his loyalty and success in his trade agreements.
I like how you phrase that. Politically fraught trade agreements. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot to get through. We appreciate it.